This is 12 Gauge Investigative. Let's jump in.
All right. How's everybody doing? It's Sunday night, prime time. I didn't feel like going live, and I need to change the date on that. It's not the 25th, it's the 27th. So I don't know why it left that at the 25th, but if you're hearing this, let me put it on the banner. So, no, y'all can understand it. Y'all can hear me talking. Well, tonight I decided to do a recording. This is not a live, this is an upload, but my name is 12 Gauge. This is my channel, 12 Gauge Investigative. I wanted to take another trip inside the house. And while we go into the house, I want to read some of the stuff that we've heard recently about what was going on during the hours while this is supposedly going on. So let's go ahead and begin. Let me go ahead and bring up the video that I have of going in the house, because this is the only one. I can't find any stuff on the internet about this, so we'll have to use my own stuff, which is fine with me. I don't like copying other people's stuff. So here we go. Hold on a second. Okay, that's better. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and start. We're going to go into the house. And after spending the evening out, roommate DM, BF, Kaylee Gonsalves, and Madison Mogan returned to their home at 1122 King Road in the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022. At approximately 2 a.m., they met up with Kaylee's bedroom and talked for a while before going to bed. Here we go.
Rolo has his own channel. I'm not even sure.
Who could I be? No, I won't even.
Was. Let me go ahead.
That's my.
Here we go.
Rolo has his own channel. I'm not even sure.
Who could I be? No, I won't even say. I don't want to start stuff.
Yeah, please don't.
Well, we're being silly right here, so
you can be Federal Agent Jeff Heish.
Yeah, Special Agent Jeff reporting for duty, sir.
Yeah.
How's my? Am I loud enough? I haven't used my little mic
fine.
box in a while. Okay, good.
Raina, you're fine. You're fine. I'm just giving you a little static. As I told you guys earlier, we're gonna go back into the house because I did a video like this before, but for some reason I thought that no, you're fine. You don't need to go away.
Raina, you're cool. Welcome.
You're cool. You're cool. You know, I don't want anybody to feel unwelcome here. I was just giving you a hard time. Not intended to do anything else.
I've mistaken him for Rolo myself. Don't worry about it. It happens.
Yeah, he has. Now that the house is demolished, I mean, I look back through all my videos and all my emails and stuff, and I couldn't find it. And plus, I couldn't, the video that I did take of the live that I did do on the house, I only got portion of it. So
come on, bro.
It's really an awesome thing to go back into the house. And it's always discuss the case with somebody that knows it. This one says, you want to read that, Jeff?
Yeah, the mail, David, page 4 and 5. The mail towards the back sliding glass door. DM locked herself in her room after seeing the mail. This leads investigators to believe that the murderer left the scene. That's easy.
Thank you. Okay, so as we know, based on things that we've seen in over these last 2 years, we know about this house because I've done photos on the house, I've done all kinds of stuff on it. And one thing that I did notice that was intriguing to me was there was lights outside. Those lights were on. So let's go back into the perpetrator coming through the sliding door. I've heard multiple theories on this sliding glass door, some of which have coincided with Jeff's own theory at the very beginning when him and I started talking, that this sliding glass door could have been broken. Or that the lock could have been installed improperly, and all that would have had to do was raise up on this slider and open it up. What do you think
Right.
about
Yeah,
that?
mine was, my sliding.
Well, we're going to fast forward it just to get into the house, because we sit there and we talk about a lot of things. And granted, the house probably wasn't lit up like this. It was probably a lot darker. But my point of reference was that those lights on the back porch would have illuminated some of this kitchen. And we've discussed also that there could have been some lights hanging up in the living room that would have illuminated that little area also. But what I just read, let's take it back in time, where after everybody has spent the evening out, Dylan, Bethany, Kelly, Madison returned to their home at 1122 King Road in the early morning hours of November 13, 2022 at approximately 2 a.m. They met up in Kaylee's bedroom and talked for a while before going to bed. So let me see if I can fast forward this to Kaylee's bedroom, because I do go up the stairs here. Let me just go ahead and turn this off. The voice is off, so you don't have to hear all of our chatter. Okay, that is Xana's room. And we'll get back to Xana's room. So that's Dylan's room right there. So everybody went to their prospective rooms. Dylan, Bethany, Kaylee, and Maddie, after they met up at 2 a.m. As you can see here, that is Maddie's room. Off to the left-hand side, the bathroom is in front of her room. And Kaylee's room is right here. So supposedly they met up at 2 a.m. in Kaylee's room. And they were discussing just whatever. They're talking about girl talk, whatever, how the night went. The fifth roommate, Xana Canota, who was out with her boyfriend, Ethan Chapin, was not home yet at 2 a.m. The PCA said they were home by 4 p.m. or 4 a.m. and they were all in bed, supposedly, at least in their rooms, possibly sleeping. The roommate debated going out to a food truck for a late snack, prompting DM to send a text at 2:10 a.m. to an Uber driver she knew to see if he was driving. Ultimately, however, the girl decided to just go to bed. So as I showed you, we'll go back. The girl decided to go to bed. So as you're walking backwards, you saw where Madison's room is. Down these stairs to the right is Dylan's room. And Bethany, of course, lives on the first floor. This is Dylan's room, as we all know. So it continues to state, at approximately 4 a.m., Dylan heard strange noises and crying coming from the bathroom. So let's go back up the stairs to what I believe she may have heard crying coming from this bathroom. Because if we look at this specifically, her room is right under this. So it says, at approximately 4 a.m., DM heard strange noises and crying coming from the bathroom. She opened her door at one point and saw a man dressed in black with a ski mask on walking by her bedroom door. She then placed calls and texts to her other roommate to see if they were awake. Only BF, who resided on the ground floor, answered. They spoke once for 24 seconds, during which DM told BF she thought she heard something. So let's go back to what the PCA said about this. At 1:56, a private party home reported that he provided a ride to Gonsalves and Mogan at approximately 1:56 from downtown Moscow in front of the grub truck to the King Road residence. From 2 to 4, DM and BF both made statements during interviews that indicated the occupants of the King Road residence were at home by 2 and asleep, or at least in their room, by approximately 4 a.m. PCA page 3. So between 2 and 4, we already found out that at 2:10, they were all gathered together, and then they decided not to get food. Ethan and Xana obviously were not home yet. So they all went to their respective rooms. 2:44, Gonsalves made 7 calls to her boyfriend. 4 o'clock, Cornado received a DoorDash order. But before that, could Xana have came in a little after 2 and possibly already made the DoorDash order earlier or around that time? Because we've been told that the DoorDash order was delivered at 3:59. So she received a DoorDash order at the residence at approximately 4 or 3:59. Law enforcement identified the DoorDash delivery driver who reported this information. PCA page 3. So let's go down to Xana's room. So this would be the living area as you're going down the stairs. There's the hallway down to Xana's room. So they received a DoorDash at 3:59, which if you look at this angle, you can see the front door right here. So it's not that far of a distance to walk to go get the DoorDash and then walk back up the stairs. As we know, the individual supposedly entered the house approximately 4:08, 4:09. So if she received a DoorDash at 3:59, let's say it took her probably a couple minutes, if that, to get that DoorDash. Get the DoorDash. If she's the one that went down to get it, she could have been in her room waiting for the DoorDash to be brought up by her boyfriend. Who knows? So by the time he gets up there, 4:03, 4:04. So it's easy to see all this commotion that's going on around 4 o'clock. The DoorDash is being delivered. You know, she hears what she sounded like Gonsalves playing with her dog in one of the upstairs bedrooms, which were located on the 3rd floor. So there's a lot going on. Possibly Murphy heard the DoorDash driver either knock, honk, something. Then I opened the door. He started jumping around and running around because he heard movement in the house. Makes total sense. Because the killer wasn't in the house yet. We've always thought the killer was in the house at this point, and he wasn't. So we continue on. At 4:12, a short time later, DM said she heard who she thought was Gonzalez, say something to the effect of, "There's someone here." This could also have been Kernodle, as she was likely awake and using the TikTok app. Well, if Kernodle was awake and she said, "There's someone here," that does make sense if she's awake eating her food in her room with the door open. She could have heard the slider come open or slide open. Says, "Hey, there's someone here." 407, 408, 410, 411, 412, around that distance, the killer's already in the house. He may have even heard her say, "There's someone here." He goes upstairs, does what he does. There's been a lot of people that state that there's been a lot of speculation that Kaylee heard what was going on and walked in and saw the perpetrator doing what he was doing to her friend. Could that have been the thing that happened? Or maybe she heard Xana say, "There's someone here"? Because it happened quick, y'all. She heard Xana say, "There's someone here." She opens her door. The dog runs out, runs into Maddie's room. She goes after the dog, sees what's happening on the bed. She confronts the killer to try to get him off of her. He throws her around, possibly into the back wall that's been taken out, starts stabbing her, maybe punching her to get her off of him, throws her down on the bed. She cowers in the corner and passes away. He heads down the stairs to Xana's room because he did possibly hear her say, "There's someone here." So he would know that there's another person awake, especially if this door was open. Her desk or whatever was right here. She could have been on TikTok. She could have been eating. Whatever the point, he comes in, either strikes her first, knocking her down, and then starts attacking Ethan, and then stands up after he's attacked him, says, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." 417, she drops due to her injuries with her head facing toward the wall, her feet facing the door, and he's out the door. And there's Madison's room. I believe that Kaylee came in, saw what was going on. She startled him. He instinctively got up, punched her, or grabbed her. She fought to not be taken, maybe running out of the door, trying to get out. He throws her this way to get her in the room, shut the door, and they start fighting in this area. He stabs her repeatedly and throws her on the bed. She starts crab walking back to the corner because she's scared, not realizing she's been stabbed. If she does realize it, doesn't realize how bad. He jumps at her and starts slashing at her some more, and she passes away. Then he leaves the room. But before all that, I want to tell you that I thought about this today, about how that knife sheath got under her leg. I believe that he carried that knife in. I don't believe that knife was attached to his boot. It was attached to his whatever he was dressed in. I believe he carried it in with it unsnapped. And as soon as he got in the room, he pounced on her like an animal on prey and left the knife sheath go and started either choking her or stabbing her, whether she was on her stomach or whether she was on her back. She possibly fought or she possibly did not. Either way, that's my theory on how the knife sheath got under Madison. At 417, a security camera located at 1112 King Road, a residence immediately to the northwest 1122, picked up distorted audio, what sounded like voices or a whimper, followed by a loud thud. A dog can also be heard barking numerous times, starting at 417. The security cameras is less than 50 feet from the west wall of Cornado's bedroom, PCA page 4. And then the next morning, on November 13th at 11:58, officers responded to the residence after a 911 call reported an unconscious individual. Moscow Police Department press release, the 911 call is not mentioned in the PCA. So, we go from Madison's room. Dylan starts texting. Hold on, let's get to the bottom floor. I don't know if I made it to the bottom floor in this video. I don't think I did. I think we started talking about Kaylee's room. Hold on, let me see what this leads to. Okay, that's Dylan's room. And that is the spare bedroom. And that is Bethany's room right there. Here's a better picture. This is Bethany's room. So they're in the room. But before that, start texting at 422 to 426. No one is answering. Dylan to Bethany. DM to Bethany. I'm really confused right now. DM to Kaylee. Kaylee. DM to BF. What's going on? BF to DM. Yeah, dude, what the fuck? BF to DM. Xana was wearing all black. DM to BF. I'm freaking out right now. No, it's like a ski mask almost. BF to DM. Shut the fuck up. BF to DM. Actually, DM to BF. Like he said, something over his head and little in mouth. DM to BF. Bethany, I'm not kidding. I'm so freaked out. BF to DM. So am I. DM to BF. My phone is going to die. Fuck. BF to DM. Come to my room. BF to DM. Run. BF to DM. Down here. DM to BF. I'm scared though. BF to DM. Yeah, I know, but it's better than being alone. So at that point, you don't hear any kind of like, like they're really freaked out. And this would be the path that she took. And as we've noticed in some of the documents, as she was running by, supposedly she saw Xana, whose head was facing the wall and her feet toward the door, where she thought she was passed out. And like I said last night, obviously this has happened before. Otherwise, she would have taken notice that this was an odd behavior from one of her roommates. And she probably thought her boyfriend's in there with her. If she's in trouble, he'd be screaming for us to help him. If she even gave it that much thought. I'm probably giving it more thought than she thought. She thought probably what was stated in the documents, that she's passed out. She's freaking out. She's scared. She's not sure what's going on. She saw the man pass by and head out the slider. She's heard noises. She's heard crying, but she's not certain what's going on. She head down to Bethany's room. And she stayed down there. But when she got to Bethany's room, she started trying to get a hold of people still. Which, if you were guilty, would you be trying to get a hold of people still? Or would you be like just running out of the house and being like, well, I'm going to protect myself. I'm out of here. So they're down in Bethany's room. And during the foregoing exchange, DM also attempted contacting Ethan Chapin through Snapchat. She again tried calling Kaylee and Xana, but neither responded. DM then exited her room and began running toward BF's bedroom, as what we saw. On her way, she noted Xana laying on the floor of her bedroom with her head toward the wall and her feet toward the door. DM thought Xana was drunk. Logical. Once DM arrived at BF's room, they locked the door and both made additional unanswered calls to other roommates. So they're sitting there calling, texting. At 4:32, DM again texted Kaylee, please answer. With no response, between approximately 5 a.m. and 6:30, DM engaged in activity on her phone, primarily creating, editing, and deleting images and videos. Her phone activity ceased until 8:05. Then DM accessed Instagram for a few minutes. Also looking to see if anybody's responded to her. At 10 a.m., DM again accessed Instagram and communicated over Snapchat. At 10:23, she texted Madison asking, are you up? She received no response. DM continued to access Instagram and Snapchat until 11:29 a.m. when she texted Kaylee, are you up? Again, there was no response, which DM thought was strange because Kaylee and Madison were early wakers. DM continued accessing various social media sites, including checking Ethan and Xana's Snapchat locations. At approximately 11:40, DM father texted her about scheduling a time for a chat, to which DM responded. She also received 2 texts from a person named Jenna, stating, bro, and do you guys need me to come get you? At approximately 11:50 a.m., DM called her friend, Emily, and asked her to come over and check the house because she was scared. Emily and her boyfriend, Hunter Johnson, came over. They met DM and BF at the bottom floor of the house. Together, DM, BF, and Hunter started to walk up the stairs to the second floor. When they reached the second floor, let's go back up to the second floor. Well, that's too far. Good grief. When they reached the second floor, Hunter went to the kitchen to grab a kitchen knife. When he came out, DM saw Xana again for a split second. Let me see if I can find the one where you can see down the hallway. But that would be easy for you to see, possibly as she was standing at the top of the stairway. Okay, there it was. They were probably standing right here at the top of the stairway, would be my guess. Hunter went in to get a knife for protection and also probably clearing the kitchen area and seeing if there was anybody hiding anywhere in any of these directions. Probably what took him so long in between calling Xana and everything else is he was probably looking in the room, looking in the bathroom, maybe making sure nobody was in there. because they said they weren't certain what was going on and they were scared. Hunter Johnson went to the kitchen to grab a kitchen knife. When he came back, DM saw Xana again for a split second, which would be logical. If they're standing right here, it's a straight on shot. Or if they walked over here with him to the kitchen, as girls usually follow the male, he walks in there, they follow him in there, he walks back out, he starts toward the door, they see her for a split second. It's just common sense. And I just started bawling because I thought she had just like, I don't even know. I thought maybe she was still just drunk and all asleep on the floor. BF also saw Xana lying on the floor. Hunter Johnson told DM and BF to get out. Emily, who had started up the stairs, well, here's the stairs, and Emily was probably walking up behind all three of them. So all three of these individuals were at least right here in this avenue. After Hunter instructed her not to come any further, they both went outside. Shortly afterwards, Hunter exited the house and told them to call 911. He was pale white and mentioned something about someone being unconscious. At 11:56 a.m., Bethany called 911 from her cell phone and spoke to Carolina Calvin, the 911 dispatcher. The call lasted 4 minutes and 11 seconds. During the call, the phone was passed around to different individuals, including BF, DM, Hunter Johnson, and an unidentified female speaker. Heavy breathing and crying can be heard throughout the call. BF spoke first, stating something is happening, something's happened in our house, and we don't know what. BF attempted to provide the address of the house to the dispatch, but could not continue. And you've heard the 911 call. If you haven't, go to Jeff H's page. He has a great audio rendition of it. It goes right along with this transcript. DM then informed the dispatch that Xana was 20 years old. At that point, Hunter took the phone. Dispatch asked him if she was breathing, to which he answered no. Law enforcement arrived at that point, and after confirming that with DM, the responding officer had a defibrillator, dispatch ended the call. Later, at approximately 1:04 p.m. that day, DM received a vandal alert regarding the homicide. So, there it is. There it is. It doesn't get any clearer than that. It really doesn't. You know, and you've been able to see photos of the house as I just walked you through it, because this is the crime scene. All the stuff leading up to it, him leaving his house, the drive to Moscow, all that other stuff, that to be discussed at a later time. I just took you through the house. And with all that I discussed, it took 34 minutes. And let's listen a little bit to what I have to say with Jeff, because I'm curious as to what we were talking about during this time. Well, of course, it guides you, and that was interesting forethought. But also, I forgot that I stopped sharing that, so I don't even know if y'all heard any of that. But we're talking about when you walk into the slider, that the lights from the patio could have been illuminating into the kitchen and the lights in the living room. I believe Tom said there was 121 of them strung up in the window. Those would have been illuminating the living room. So you would have had and plus the good vibe sign. So you would have had a good dim light following you through the house. So you would have seen shadows. You would have seen the outline of a person. The closer they got to you, you would have been able to see facial structure, possibly, facial features, bushy eyebrows, but probably not much else. You would have been able to tell if the person was skinny, if they were bulky, if they were, I just don't know if he was carrying the weapon with him or if that was. See, my theory has always been that the K-bar broke and that he possibly had kind of like a machete weapon as backup, the larger weapon. And I've always said that. And people have always said, no, there was only one weapon. There's no way that knife would have broke. With as many stab wounds and as hard as he was stabbing through these people, I believe that knife could have broke. I've broken one before. Not by stabbing anybody, but, by other things. It's pretty durable, but you know what? Nothing is fallible. But that's just my impression, maybe not even a machete, like one of those long ones. I'm talking about probably, one of it could have been like, I don't know, 12-inch machete, something shorter where, it had the same kind of effect as the K-bar, just had different wound structure to it. Whatever it was an edged weapon, whatever it was. So we've never been told specifically that I can remember that it was just the K-bar. I mean, if that's the case, then that would make sense that possibly he was carrying something out that resembled a larger knife. But that's just me thinking out loud. I hope y'all enjoyed that. This is going to be the last one of the night, I promise you, because tomorrow's Monday and I'm back at it. Let me know in the comments or in the live chat your thoughts and your beliefs. And if you can honestly visualize this as it was happening, regardless of who did it, we've been told how it happened. If we're going to presume innocence for one, we'll presume innocence for everybody until they're guilty, right? That's how it goes. But this man's been indicted. So therefore, obviously they had enough evidence to indict him. This man is still in jail. But we'll see what the jury of his peers have to say. And that's really all I have for you tonight. Y'all have a wonderful night. Maestro, cue that music.